Well, South Africa is now ranked as one of the top 10 most unattractive mining countries in the world. That's not a title we want, is it? It's a blow to the country's hopes of using the sector to attract much needed investment. Now, there's stakeholders gathering down in Cape Town for the mining Indaba. Let's head down to eNCA's Rhofhiwa Madzena there for us now outside the CTICC. Morning to you, Rhofhiwa. And I imagine that it's not just about trying to find out what the problems are in the mining sector, but surely the experts are going to have to come up with solutions to get us out of that top 10 most unattractive mining countries in the world. Good morning.
Good morning, Gareth, and that's exactly what this event is, finding solutions to problems within the industry. We are, as you said, indeed at Cape Town at the conference centre here, the mining Indaba about to take place. We couldn't get into the venue. There was a bomb search that was happening. I just want to take a look, but we still can't get in. That is still currently underway, but that is where we are today. And the theme for this year, Gareth, is the evolution of African mining, investing in the energy transition, which is going to be a big conversation given what we're seeing in terms of energy issues in South Africa in particular, ESG and economies. And those are the kind of conversations we can expect to hear over the next 3 days in the duration of the mining Indaba. But I'm not the expert, but there is one. We've got Andrew Lane, Senior Partner at Deloitte for Energy and Resources. Thank you very much, Andrew, for your time this early morning. Let's start with that. I mean, one of the big themes that's going to be spoken about is this thing of energy transition. I mean, what exactly is that, and how does it impact on the mining industry?
Well, look, the mining industry is quite heavily impacted by the energy transition. I mean, they're big energy users to start with. Secondly, they all struggle with Scope 1 and Scope 2 and Scope 3 emissions. So pretty much all of the major miners are talking, and not just talking, but moving forward with fairly significant investments into renewable energy.
No, absolutely. Some of the major challenges apart from energy that you find face the mining sector. In Gareth's intro, he mentioned that South Africa is one of the worst investment destinations within the mining sector. There was a report that was released a few days ago. Obviously, those within the industry would disagree quite vehemently.
So, yeah, we actually discussed that piece of data at the ministerial symposium yesterday. And look, not everybody agrees with that, but it's perception. You know, that survey is a reflection of perceptions out there, and the perceptions are that we've declined as an investment destination. In fact, most of the developing world has declined as an investment destination over the last 5 years. And if you compare that to our developed competitors like Australia and Canada and places like that, we are falling behind in terms of perception, not necessarily fact, but perception.
And what informs this perception? Is it our production levels? Certainly not sales levels, not so much, because of the commodity super cycle, the price of commodities increase. I mean, what would you say informs that perception?
I think there are a couple of big things. I think corruption is a big one. I think energy security is another one. And then regulatory certainty. You know, I mean, there are countries on the continent where regulations do continue to change, and that gives investors a hard time. It's a long-term industry. You make big investments for a very long-term return. You'd like a stable regulatory environment.
And I mean, this is something that's come from companies like Sibanye-Stillwater, for example, who say we've got all this money that we can invest, but we're holding on to it because we just don't know what the environment in which we're operating in is going to be looking like. So isn't there some kind of comfort in what we're seeing in terms of state capture reports coming out and investigations, and hopefully some kind of charges and convictions coming on?
Look, I think there is comfort in all of that, but I think we've got a long way to go. I think the jury's still out as to whether we can actually turn the corner. So we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One of the big things mining companies which we interview will always complain about is this notion of our infrastructure, rail infrastructure in particular, being an issue. I mean, your thoughts on that and the fact that Transnet has been unable to maintain the infrastructure that we have in the country?
Look, I mean, we all read the same newspapers. It is a big issue for the mining industry. All of the bulk commodity providers, both coal and iron ore and manganese, are complaining about Transnet. If I remember correctly, I think the Minerals Council put the number at about 35 billion that we've lost as an economy as a result of Transnet. So it is a big issue.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then just finally, your thoughts on the sector overall in terms of where we're going. The President always refers to it as the sunrise industry, while others refer to it as the sunset industry. Where do you see it going, just based on your engagements within the industry?
So I think that the global mining industry is going into a very interesting period now. You know, I think that as we go through the energy transition, as we go into more of a circular economy, you find different minerals becoming different minerals become important, and some of the traditional minerals becoming less important. And I think the whole way in which mining companies serve customers and deliver product is going to be very interesting to watch over the next decade or so.
That's very interesting. It was my last question, but now I want to poke you on that very point that you've just made. The minerals, the products that are going to become more attractive and more useful in the future that we're going to. What would you say some of those are?
Well, at the moment, the hot ones are all the battery metals and all the electric vehicle metals. So copper, cobalt, nickel, those lithium, those kind of things.
No, absolutely. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Wayne. Andrew Lane from Deloitte, senior partner there in Energy and Resources, joining me this morning to talk about the mining endeavour, expectations, some of the issues within the industry, and really the conversations we should be going in terms of minerals that we should be focusing on. South Africa benefiting in 2021, Gareth, from the commodities super cycle, but all those cycles usually come to an end. So what does that mean for the mining industry going forward? We're going to be finding out, speaking to different industry players. In fact, we should be attending the Minerals Council media briefing, which will outline all of the issues within the sector, which we will ventilate over the next 3 days.
Yeah, such an important conference this. Rhofhiwa Madzena, thank you very much. Outside the Cape Town International Convention Centre, just waiting for that bomb sweep to be completed before everyone's allowed into the building, and we'll check in again with Rhofhiwa a little bit later, so you can see